What's up, you guys? This is a Real Talk Corner with your host, Ariana, the Quantum Healers in the building. I have some awesome reaction videos for you. I will have a co-host on most of them. Sabrina's in the building. So just make sure you guys in the comments. Don't forget in the comments, let me know what you think about these reaction videos. And I want to know your opinion to what's going on. So this is a new segment. I'm going to be dropping just videos on different content, different other YouTube platforms, TikToks, things like that. Controversial, I need to be controversial because we will talk about it. So this is Real Talk Corner. I'm not afraid to talk about anything. I think a lot of people are afraid of cancel culture, but I think that there are things worth pushing the limit, should I say. So I have a beautiful, interesting conversation today. We're going to be watching. I'm going to be reacting to Julebee's. Julebee is if you don't know it, it's a channel that it does a lot of these skits, and it has basically puts people versus. So it'll have alpha males, beta males, or something like that. So and they'll have them have a conversation, and they're opposites. So I love these shows because it really can bring up some beautiful points, and it can actually open up some dialogue. So I actually love their channel. I love what they do. Big props to Julebee. So I will be reacting to a lot of their content because I just think it's phenomenal of what they're doing. And then I'll be giving you guys my opinion, of course, on what I feel, but we got to talk about it because, in this day and age, it's a lot of fuckery out there, right? So let's get into it. To another beautiful reaction video of Julebee's Middle Ground. Men, it is why do I keep forgetting this shit? Reacting to, are men superior to women? Are men superior to women? Alphas versus betas. And so we're going to go into this and get our reaction going on.
It's going to flourish. Truly, deep down, every woman would love nothing more than to be more feminine in a role in a family and take on that either that motherly role or that nurturing role or the role that feels supportive to the overall mission of a man. It's just got to be a man worth getting behind. And weak men are the reason why this is a problem. Case in point, look at the workplace. And you don't see women applying for jobs to be power line guys or hang steel at steel companies. They're not picketing outside of the United States Army being like, why won't you draft me? They don't want that smoke, bro. Like and that's okay. Right. And I can't say enough. It's like, as a man, like, you get to take pride in taking care of a woman, protecting women. What about your daughters, man? You want to protect and provide, care for them. That's okay. Let them be feminine. A strong man doesn't need you to be a man. He say, fine, you can be a woman. You're safe, sweetheart. You come with me. Right. That's it.
There were just a few things that I disagree on. I think that in 2023, especially, I think women just want to be able to look to the side and see their partner as an equal. And I think a lot of women now I don't think they're trying to be men. I think what they're realizing is that the qualities that they were looking for in men, they've always had it within themselves. If women are submissive, it's mostly for, I want to say, like, the validation for the man. I think they know in the back of their heads, like, they know now that they can do things on their own. I don't think they necessarily need a man, but I think what they're looking for is that intimacy to have a partner. But I don't think that they require one.
Oh, no, they do. Because, a lot of these girls, they usually go home and cry at night from being lonely, from not having a man. They have all these things, and then they're upset they don't have a man. You know what I mean? And I heard you say.
All right, before we get too far into it, I think, there's a couple things that he was saying that I understand, where women empowerment or feminism that came into it. You got to remember, came into where women were belittled and women were nothing. Women had nothing. They weren't able to vote. They weren't able to have bank accounts. They weren't able to have their own money. Everything about their identity was nothing. They were just only for the man. And so then you had, these generations of feminists that kind of shaped and shifted things, and women just wanted to have opportunities. Now, there's a lot of women who like to compete with men, okay? most women aren't trying to compete with men. But women just wanted opportunities. They wanted to be able to, because not all women are dainty, not all women are fragile. Some women are sporty, some women are rough, some women are like one of the boys, or we call them tomboys. And so I feel like there's this misconception that if you're not that, then you're not a woman, or if you're a little bit more aggressive, then you're trying to be a man. And that's not it at all. You just have women that have different likes, and some of them are a little bit more what they call tomboyish, and that's based on the construct of boys and girls. Being sports are for boys and they're not for girls. And so that's where that is, or like that everything you needed to call a man. Now, again, I've been a single woman, so putting shelves together, putting furniture together, moving my own for moving couches and shit like that. I can do that. Do I want to do it? Fuck no. I'd rather a man come with his boys and move all the fucking furniture. Like, I think there's this thing like women just want to be doing all this hard labor. Hell no. Women aren't, and this is the thing. This is why I'm not a woman who really I love equality, and I don't feel like we should be getting paid less for doing the same job. But I don't feel like we need to be doing the same. I don't want to go do men's jobs. I don't want to go do harsh labor. I don't want to be working out in the sun for fucking 16 hours. There's a lot of things that I don't want to do as a woman. I would prefer to sit in the AC. So I think that, a lot of women, this is where it goes back to that ungratefulness. There's this ungratefulness that was just like, oh, well, I'm a woman. I got to be in the office in the AC. And it's like, bitch, you in the AC. Shut the fuck up and stop complaining. But there was a lot of women that want to be in the action. They were bored. And see, when you have a lot of people who get bored with their lives, they just start creating issues where there isn't an issue. You had a lot of women who were at home being mothers. The bad part about that is that instead of them being taught that motherhood was a joy, motherhood was a gift, motherhood was that they were handpicked by creator energy to carry the offspring, to birth the offspring, to have the offspring at home and be the first person to teach them values. If they had been taught better, then they could have had more pride in what they do. But unfortunately, they had husbands that were saying, you don't work, even though being a full-time mom is a fucking chore. Anyone who's a full-time mom, full-time dad, or a full-time parent understands that the kids just need, and kids just take. Kids don't give two fucks about your feelings. They don't care if you're tired. They don't care about anything. They just take, take, take. So I think that was the biggest thing, where it was like women didn't want to just be subjected to that, to where my job is nothing. So had they have been taught by their spouse or by their own mothers or their own families that being that woman, being that nurturer, being that first teacher to the children is so important, they would have looked at the role differently. And you wouldn't have so many women today that would be running hot girl summer, because they would understand that.
Looking for is that intimacy to have a partner, but I don't think that they require one.
Oh no, they do, because a lot of these girls, they usually go home and cry at night from being lonely, from not having a man. They have all these things, and then they're upset they don't have a man. You know what I mean? And I heard you say that women want to be the man's equal, but you don't see, and maybe this could just be a societal thing, that a societal pressure, but you don't see women doing things that could make them equal to the men. You don't see the women approaching the men. You don't see the women paying for the dates. You don't see the women being more assertive to the man. You see what I'm saying? So where's that at?
And they got options. They got so much more options than
Well,
men.
I'll tell you what you do see. You see a high level of women on antidepressants more than ever, right? And I think that's a bunch of women trying to cope with trying to be like a man, when really, let me ask you a question. Are you more attracted to a woman that has a high-paying job or to a woman's beauty?
That doesn't matter to me.
It does matter. It does matter to me.
You asked me.
You could, but I would like to say
a mother figure rather than a woman.
Absolutely not. But I would like to say that you're saying that women, have a higher, have antidepressants, but men, I'm a social worker, so men 1 out of 10 are more likely to experience depression, but more likely to go undiagnosed and not seek therapy or help. So I do think, and women also, you have to consider the fluctuation in hormones, pregnancy, because that can alter, their mental health. So think that's kind of a moot point, but I feel like, I'm not looking for a mother figure. I'm looking for an equal. So I feel like with, if we're saying that women, they're like going home crying, looking for men, I think it's also that societal pressure that tells you at the same time you have to have multiple women. They're telling the women you have to have that one man, that husband by a certain age, have kids by a certain age. There's more pressure on them.
All right, I wanted to just touch that real quick where you're saying that women wanting to be men. And I do agree with that, where we don't step up to the plate, where we want everything to be equal, but we're not paying for dinners. We're not, taking them in on the dates. We're not approaching them because we still want to be treated like we are it. Come to me. And so I feel like that's where, if we're going to shift society, if we're going to shift how we're looking at things, if we're going to shift into that mindset, then we have to step up to the plate too and say, okay, let me take you out and be able to pay, because, but women don't want that. Women don't want to pay for fucking dates, because if women actually had to pay for as many dates as they go on, they would be rethinking their strategy just like men do. So I do agree on that extent, where if you're going to be screaming equality, then make sure that you're screaming equality everywhere that you go. You want to be the same. But again, me personally, as the woman that I am, I'm not trying to be a man. I'm not trying to pay for dates either. I'm not trying to work in construction. Like, there's a lot of things that I'm like, no, y'all can have that. I don't need to do that. I can stay as a woman, and I love the perks of being a woman, because that's just being in that role. So again, just if you're going to scream for equality, scream for it everywhere.
They got options. They got so much more options than
Well, I'll
men.
tell you what you do see. You see a high level of women on antidepressants more than ever, right? And I think that's a bunch of women trying to cope with trying to be like a man, when really, let me ask you a question. Are you more attracted to a woman that has a high paying job, or to a woman's beauty?
That doesn't matter to me.
It does matter. It does matter to me.
You asked me.
You could,
But I would like to say
a mother figure rather than a woman.
Absolutely not. But I would like to say that you're saying that women, have a higher, have antidepressants, but men, I'm a social worker, so men 1 out of 10 are more likely to experience depression, but more likely to go undiagnosed and not seek therapy or help. So I do think, and women also, you have to consider the fluctuation in hormones, pregnancy, because that can alter, their mental health. So I think that's kind of a moot point, but I feel like, I'm not looking for a mother figure. I'm looking for an equal. So I feel like with, if we're saying that women, they're like going home crying, looking for men, I think it's also that societal pressure that tells you at the same time you have to have multiple women. They're telling the women you have to have that one man, that husband by a certain age, have kids by a certain age. There's more pressure on them than there is men. And for, lack of a better term, I think men have gotten off a lot easier because women have so much pressure, and they get judged more harshly than men do for talking about back then when men used to go home, bring home the bacon or whatever. The domestic violence rate was pretty high during that time. And I'll also say that for people of color, we never really had the luxury of working one job. So my parents, their parents before them, everybody always had to work, man and woman. So there was always that equal opportunity for them to be able to see that they could do it together as opposed to put that one pressure. And I also would like to ask, if you guys find submissive women more attractive than dominant women, is that because it makes you feel more validated as a man, or is there something there that you feel like?
All right, before we let him go into there, because I definitely want to hear that one next, let's just recap. Yeah. So, I do think there are I don't think there's a lot more women that are on antidepressants. I feel like that's probably been the same. I don't have the stats in front of me to look at it. I would have to do that and then probably bring it up on my podcast so I can have the stats. But I do feel like a lot of women are very depressed and sad of not being able to find a mate, because there's the way that society is. People are not honest. People are not upfront. People are just dating to fuck around. People, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on other than just men versus women. It is the way that people kind of portray themselves out in this world. Most people don't want to settle down. Most people don't want to do a lot of things anymore. So you have a lot of women who are single. Are they depressed? I don't think that they're depressed because they're single. There are times when, yes, women do have those pressures. Women are pressured to have kids by a certain age, where men could be fucking 60 still having a kid and it's fine. But women are pushed to have kids later. It's just like, no, you got to have your kids by a certain age. So there is a lot of pressure on women in that way, where men don't have those pressures. Why? Because men are pushed to go do your career and have your career and all of this stuff. So I think there's a lot of again, there's misconceptions on both. And I don't feel like you have to be, I don't think submissive, I think what they take submissive is wrong. And submissive doesn't mean slave. And I think when we take those terms out and we look at what submissive is, you can still let your man lead without you feeling like you're a slave to the relationship, and if you're in a relationship where you want to be the leader and the man is the one who submits, then fine. Me personally, I wouldn't want that. I would want my person to be that leader. I follow you because you're going to lead us into greatness, and I'm going to be here to support you. And that's what I feel. And I think if you go in with this conception of what it needs to be and not just allow it to be, then you're just putting all this other extra bullshit on your relationship. The other part I want to talk to is how he said, I want to equal. When we say we want to equal, it's not you want it to be exactly the same. When you say you want that equal partner, again, masculine and feminine complement each other in different ways, but it creates this whole yin and yang. Okay, you look at it, it creates a whole, but their differences. They're not going to be exactly the same. And when we say equal, it's that I'm not going to demean you, I'm not going to belittle you, I'm going to look at you as my partner. And then, just because you can still submit to your person, and they actually, not that they're like, they tell you what to do and everything they say goes, but you can actually still have that relationship where you talk about things, where you make decisions together. And I think when people think submissive means that, oh, well, he has to make all the decisions and I don't do nothing. And that's not it either. It's not it either. It's when you have someone who's more alpha. And when we look at the alpha energy, when you have someone as an alpha, you need that leader energy. You either need to be it or you need someone who's above. You just need it. And it just speaks to you. That's why they say beta males, alpha males, beta women. And it's because some people don't care. If you're in the beta energy, you're like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. That's not important to me. And so I think just find out who you are and gravitate to someone who complements that. Again, but you don't have to take being submissive as this curse or this, thing. So drop your comments. Let me know how you're feeling about this. Again, I think we take the word submissive and we think it like submissive is he's beating your ass and, he's telling you what color to wear today and you can't wear that makeup. And that's not submitting to your person. That's someone who's dominating and you're listening to everything that they're doing. So definitely just reconstruct how you see submissive energy. Naturally, you will submit to your partner because they'll come in as that lead. And then there are maybe some alpha roles where they're both leading their partnership. But as long as you two can come together and feel like you both are putting into the relationship, then I think that's where it's going to be mutual and equal. But you guys will never be equal because men and women are not the same. So to have this expectation that men and women are equal, we're not. We're built different. Our DNA is different. Our biology is different. Okay, so you have to take all of that into light and say, oh shit, yeah, we're actually pretty fucking different. Okay, so don't be afraid to submit. But again, submit doesn't mean he's beating your ass. Submit doesn't mean he's picking your color. Submit doesn't mean that you can't speak until spoken to. Okay, that's very different. So drop a comment. Let me know how you guys are liking this. And until the next one, again, there's going to be a couple parts to this.